Yeah, I think China. I mean, in 2008, our primary enemy was probably Russia economically. The Chinese at that point were more dependent on us. 2013, they actually switched. Xi Jinping decided that they wanted to de-Americanize the world, and China, which had been waging unrestricted warfare, really ramped up the economic portion of it.
Right, right, certainly. You know, I participate in a Thursday night Zoom call with West Point classmates. So last night was one of those calls, and it was interesting that they had a poll, a survey that said, what's the greatest threat to America today? And it had China on it, it had domestic violence or lack of peace on the streets in America. It had Antifa. It had our national debt. And we looked at all those, and most people said China and this and that. And as I thought about it, I said, I think the answer is our national debt. Because if we are so far in deficit, and we are a debtor nation to China in particular and to other nations around the world, and if we apply our largesse, or what Gibbons in Decline and Fall would call immoderate greatness, if we apply our immoderate greatness to giving everybody everything, then we create this dependency, and we're going downhill as a nation. I think that's where we are. We have challenges there.
That's unbelievably insightful. I totally agree with that. It's been a blink of an eye from $10 trillion to $20 trillion to $30 trillion in reported federal debt.
Right.
And we're over $100 trillion in actual liabilities. If the government had to present their books the same way a corporation does, unfunded liabilities, pensions offered, Medicare, and so forth, it's over $100 trillion. I think our tax revenues are in the $3 to $4 trillion range.
Right.
And our spending is in the $4 to $5 trillion plus. The president just announced $6 trillion of additional new programs. It's really crazy.
In Resilient Nations, I define 10 elements of American exceptionalism. And then, as I mentioned in a prior broadcast, we analyze the United States in epochs of history. It starts going down drastically in 2001. That was not because of any moral factors that hadn't changed in a major way, and George Bush was the president, but it was because of the significant debt profile that we started to build up under his, and then it only got worse and worse and worse. And like you say, it's been a geometric increase in national debt, not just linear.
Yeah, you stop and think about this. Our interest rates have fell dramatically, first from 2008-9, and then secondly from the pandemic, where the Federal Reserve bought a lot of U.S. Treasury debt and forced interest rates down. But a normal interest rate in our lifetime has been in the 5 to 10% range for U.S. Treasury bonds. 5 to 10% on $30 trillion is $1.5 to $3 trillion of interest alone. That could absorb almost all of our total tax revenue. What do we do then?
Right, right. It's almost like crack. We're addicted to these low interest rates. We're doing things that are not logical economically. It's governing our behavior, and then when that changes, if it does, we'll be in very difficult challenges.
We'll be stuck. Do you think the strategists in China are aware of our debt situation?
Of course, of course. The Chinese, they devote in a command economy, in an autocratic society, and in a heavily militarized society, they devote far greater per capita to analyzing and having people actually look at specifics of the United States. You know, they probably have a tenfold application of labor and just manpower and resources to looking at us and trying to figure out this warfare against us.
Yeah, well, and the unfortunate thing is I think they have figured it out. I think they've made the situation worse. They fund things that make the situation worse. And they've been stealing our intellectual property, which is just siphoning off our wealth and everything else. They're huge economic threats, both domestic and foreign.